Somewhere in a small apartment above a busy street, where the smell of bakeries drifted through open windows. And the sounds of morning traffic echoed between tall buildings, lived a cat who would eventually become known as a determined food explorer. At first glance he looked like an ordinary orange tabby. His fur was soft and bright, his eyes wide with curiosity. But behind those curious eyes was an unusual fascination that would turn an ordinary house cat into a tiny traveler with an appetite for the world. His owner, a young photographer named Daniel, first noticed it on a quiet Sunday morning while preparing breakfast in the kitchen. This cat was focused on something very different. He sat near the kitchen counter carefully watching every movement Daniel made while cooking. He sniffed the air with intense interest each time a new ingredient touched the pan. Daniel laughed, assuming the cat was simply hungry. Every meal preparation became a moment of fascination for the little orange tabby Daniel named Milo. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Milo's curiosity about food quickly became part of the daily routine. When Daniel brewed coffee, Milo appeared beside the counter. The cat rarely begged for food. Instead, he seemed to study the process itself, sniffing the air whenever spices were added. Daniel began joking that Milo wasn't just hungry, he was judging the cooking. Soon, Daniel started sharing short videos of Milo online. Daniel's photography work often required travel. Normally, Milo stayed with friends. But one evening, Daniel had an unusual thought. What if Milo came along? Traveling with a cat was not always easy, yet Milo had always shown a calm personality. After some careful planning, Daniel decided to try it. The journey that began that day would quietly transform Milo. Their first trip was a flight to a coastal city famous for seafood. When they arrived at a restaurant, Milo sat calmly beside the table. The smell of grilled fish and warm bread filled the air. Daniel ordered lunch and set up his camera to capture the harbor. But what caught his attention instead was Milo. The cat had lifted his nose slightly into the air, sniffing with intense curiosity. When Daniel shared a tiny taste of plain grilled fish, Milo reacted with excitement, licking the bite and blinking slowly as if approving. Within days, that clip spread across the internet, and viewers began calling Milo the traveling foodie cat. Encouraged by the response, Daniel started including Milo in more journeys. Each new destination brought unfamiliar smells and flavors. In a city known for street food, Milo observed chefs flipping noodles in large pans while steam drifted into the evening air. In another place famous for pastries, Milo sat quietly on a cafe chair while Daniel photographed golden croissants and warm bread. Though Milo only tasted small, safe bites, his reactions were always the same: curious sniffing, slow blinking approval, and sometimes a satisfied purr. People who encountered the pair often stopped to watch the unusual scene. A photographer documenting meals while his cat sat calmly nearby. Street vendors smiled when Milo watched them cook with focused attention. Soon Daniel's pages were filled with comments from followers around the world. For Milo, each new city seemed to present an endless landscape of fascinating aromas. Spices drifting through open markets, the warm scent of bread rising in bakeries early in the morning. Milo appeared to be conducting his own quiet investigation of flavors. One memorable trip took them to a mountain town. Inside the kitchen, chefs slowly prepared a rich stew filled with herbs and vegetables. Milo sat comfortably beside Daniel's chair as the dish arrived. Steam curled upward, carrying the smell of roasted vegetables and savory broth. Daniel offered Milo a tiny taste of plain chicken. The cat paused for a moment, sniffing thoughtfully before taking the bite. Then came the familiar reaction, a slow blink, followed by a soft purr that made the nearby diners laugh. Over time, Milo's quiet food adventures began inspiring people online in unexpected ways, encouraging them to try new foods themselves. What started as a simple curiosity had grown into something larger, connecting people through the shared joy of food and exploration. Despite the growing attention, life for Milo remained simple. Each journey still began with the same familiar routine. Whether they were visiting a busy city market or a quiet countryside cafe, Milo approached every place with the same gentle curiosity. Not chasing adventure, not seeking attention, but simply exploring the world one small taste at a time. Milo reminds everyone that sometimes the greatest journeys begin with nothing more than curiosity and an appetite for discovery.